It's Jahid. Can you just introduce yourself first?
Hello, my name is Hamad Shakirul Abid.
Okay.
I'm an autism instructor at Adelaide.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Where are you from?
I'm from Sylhet.
All right, great. Nice to have you here. If you have Zahid, right? Your name is Zahid, if I'm not wrong.
My name is Hamad Shakirul Abid. It's my
Hamad.
office name from which I'm joining.
All right, Hamad. It's me, Dr. Nadia here. I'm going to be your professor. I'm going to be with you in this course, okay? You're going to share all the assignments, everything with me, and I'll get back to you. If you have any doubts, if you have internet issue, no worries at all. You can just type your queries in the chat box, okay? It's already 8 minutes now, so I'm just going to start lesson. If you have any doubt, please do let me know, okay? So the very first thing is like understand the context and the principle of internal quality insurance. So when I say like the word IQA, like internal quality assurance, so what comes in your mind? Have you ever heard about this word? What do you think, what we're going to study about in this module?
We have to always make sure that our assignments and our teaching quality, the overall quality should be always top notch. And for that, I am here in this class to know more about it.
Right. Thank you so much for your participation. That was lovely. Yes, that's what we're gonna study today. Okay, in our today's lesson. First of all, let me just share the deadlines. Okay, and what we're going to learn today. So basically, you're gonna have two tasks in this module. Okay, task one. Our today's lesson will be based on task one. Okay, which is exploration of the provision. Now we're gonna cover some of the objectives, which I will explain you what we're going to learn today. So today's lesson, we're going to define and explain the functions and the concept of IQA, and we're going to identify and explain the roles of practitioners involved, and then we are going to understand and interpret the regulation and requirements of IQA. Okay, and then we're going to I'm going to give you the task one details, the structure and the rubrics. Okay, so your task one, it has 3500 words. Okay, you will have the time. I'm just going to share deadline. So what we do is like we submit the draft. Okay, all these details about the requirements you will find there on your LMS account. Okay, if you have any issue with the LMS account or something with your portal, we have the WhatsApp group. Just feel free to message us and we will sort out your problem. Now, the deadline for this one, there are two types of deadline. First, you have to submit the draft. You will submit the draft on your LMS account, and then I will give you the feedback through the email, because sometimes the students are not able to get the feedback. So to make sure you receive the feedback, you will have it on LMS also, but I will send you the feedback through the email. Okay, you will have a feedback once on your draft, and then you have to do the changes. Okay, I will tell you like what went good in your assignment and what we need to work on. Okay, and your first assignment, task one, draft deadline is 18th of September. Okay, and your task two deadline will be 5th of October. So the final submission, like when you will edit your writing, it's gonna be 15th of October. Okay, the very important thing I'm going to I want to share with you is like the AI. Okay, see, to get the certification, it is very, very, very important not to use any AI tools. Like it should be below 20%. Okay, still I will confirm you the accurate percentage. It should be less than that. Just a general view, I'm telling you. If you're using any type of internet material, if you're doing your research, make sure to paraphrase in your own words, because you cannot copy paste the material. This will not allow you to have the certification. Okay, so I hope I'm clear with the things. Now these are the objectives we're going to learn in today's lesson. Okay, so let me start with the explanation, the meaning. Okay, so basically the definition as you have also shared. Okay, so now I'm going to give you the definition of IQA, which is internal quality insurance. Now, basically, IQA is the systematic process of monitoring, reviewing, and improving assessment practices. Okay, within the organization to ensure that they are fair, valid, reliable, and consistent. So, why they are important? They're important because they protect the learners from unfair assessments. They maintain the awarding body confidence, and they ensure that the qualifications remains recognized, and they help the assessor to continuously improve. Okay, so to go in more detail, I would say like IQA is a internal process. Okay, it's for the internal management. Okay, the assessment board. So in this, they separate the external quality insurance. So there is IQA and EQA. Okay, so we're going to focus on IQA, which is internal process. Okay, it focuses both on the quality, like the standards, and the insurance, like checking whether they are applicable, whether they are applied, whether they're aligned with the curriculum or not. Okay, now, the key term is to basically to monitor, like to check, to evaluate, to judge the effectiveness, and to improve the making changes. For example, if I'll give you the real example is like a training, let's say a training in academic, offering a course which uses the IQAs to sample the assessments. They across the different assessors to the learners to make sure the learners across all the branches are graded equally. Now see what happens, like for example we have one university and it has the different branches. Okay, in the country, in every city there is a branch, but to make sure that it's fair in all the branches, so what they do is they follow the IQA. Okay, so when they follow the every branches, they follow the IQA. It gives them a fair, really a fairness, a valid, consistency. So everybody in the different city, they follow the same things. Okay, so that's why it is really really important to work to assess, so everybody will have, all the branches will be equally graded. And if it comes to the teachers, it's very important to have this committee, because all the teachers, they have the different criteria to mark. Okay, they follow the rubric. Some are really lenient, some are, let's say, they are really like very strict in marking. So what happen is like when we have the system, okay, like this, a strong system, what happen is all the teachers are on the same track. Okay, they stays in the same track. So to know about its function, it's like its main activity is to carry out to maintain the assessment's quality. Okay, like why it's important, you must be wondering like why it is important. The function is really important because the function ensures that the assessment process are trustworthy, consistent, and they're complying with the standards. Okay, so this is the thing like where we get like it is standardized. Like for example, you are doing it through the KIMT College London, right? So they have the proper system, they have the aligned, like for example the sessions you are having now, they are properly aligned. Okay, with the university. So that's why we have the same standards. The classes we are having in the different countries, we're having even in the London, we are following the same structure, the same assessment quality, the same standard. There is a consistency among all the centers. Okay, so to know in more detail is basically it ensures the fairness, the reliability, and the consistency. Consistency is very important, and it's also supporting the assessors. Like we have the trainings, we have the CPDs, we have the mentoring, right? And because of these CPDs, it's really helpful for us, and we get to know like what is update. Okay, what, how we're going to handle this course and how we're going to assess. So this helps consistencies, where the word consistence come from, when everybody is on the same track. So the CPD hours, the training sessions we have internally, are the reasons that we all are on the same page, we all are consistent. Okay, so then we have the standardizations, which is like to bringing the assessors together to agree on the judgment. Okay, basically it helps us to give us the standard, like this is the standard, like we have the marking criteria, we have the rubrics. Okay, so based on that, we are like together, all the assessors are going to be on the same track. So it also helps to monitor the learner progress. Okay, and also it ensures the compliance with the awarding bodies, with the regulators. Okay, and it also helps us to identify the improvement, like how we can do the improvement, how we can get the updating policies. Okay, they keep on updating the policy, because if they don't update the policy, we're not going to get the up to date. And maybe imagine in some centers, they have updated the policies and they're like they're following it, but some centers, they don't have the updates on any policy, they're following the old one. So what happens is like there won't be any consistency. Okay, so consistency is very, very important. Now I'm going to tell you the number 6 slide. Let me move to number 6 slide. Now the key concepts of and the principles of IQA. Okay, so the key concept for this IQA, basically the principles are the foundational values. Okay, of IQA. The foundation should be really, really, really strong. Now, for example, why they are important? They ensure the assessments are ethical, they are inclusive, they are defensible in the case of appeal. Okay, so to go in more detail about the core principle is the validity. Basically, the validity is the measure it what it claims. For example, it can be a written test for writing skills. Okay, not about the memory, it can be about the writing skills. For example, if I say reliability is the results would be the same if repeated. This is called the reliability. Okay, even like for example, if some students they appeal the results, like they're not satisfied, so make sure reliability means that even in repeating the results wouldn't be changed, it's going to be same. So the fairness is like not to be biased. Okay, on the background, language, disability. So Hamad, what do you think, like when we say like when it comes to fairness, like as I said, we shouldn't be biased, what do we mean by that? How do you think like the people can be unfair in this field?
Okay, so from my perspective, if let's say we have 10 students in our class, and in that sense, we shouldn't be biased towards a single student. Maybe some student is good, and other student may be struggling with his assignment or with his class, and we shouldn't be biased towards anyone. We should equally assess everyone's class and everyone's task.
Right. Okay, this was the example from the classroom, right? So what about if I say if we have a committee of assessment, the marking, and like from the, let's say from the check in the let's say from the point of like when we check the work, internal assessment system, when we mark them. So how a teacher or a person who is going to mark can be biased? How can you give me an example, or have you ever heard about it, or have you ever experienced that?
Uh, in that case, I did not find any students or any students' work while marking that maybe I'm favoring the student or maybe biased toward the students. I never faced any kind of issues till now.
Right. So can you come up with a solution like how we can like solve, for example, a teacher is being biased maybe because of the favoritism of a student. So how we can ensure like how we can ensure that there is a proper system, like we can control the biasness, like the teacher can't be biased. How we can control that? What solution do you think we can implement?
Maybe focusing on not only the student but also on the teacher. Like, is he favoring the student because of us favoritism, or what kind of classes he is conducting, how he is assessing the students' task or assignments, and overall his works.
Right. That was really good. Let me give you some live examples. Like in some of the countries, when they have the board exam system, in their high school and all that. So what they do is like they hide. They covered, basically they hide the roll number, the name of the student. So the person who is going to mark their work, they cannot see. So there's no chance of the favoritism. Same like, for example, when you sit for your IELTS exam, let's say the language course for the language exam. So what happened is like they hide your identity. So a person who is going to mark, he's not like familiar with the name of the student, with the your roll number or anything. So these types of, we can implement them to be like to make very less chances of favoritism, right? Okay, so that was a really good conversation with you. Thank you so much, Hamad.
You
Now,
are welcome.
yeah. So now we're gonna discuss about the transparency. So the transparency is basically a clear criteria which is shared with the learners. Okay, and the continuous improvement is like a feedback which is used to refine the assessment practices. Okay, for example, if I give you a real example, is like a driving school provides adapted cars for the learner, for the disabled learner, to ensure the fairness while still applying the same pass criteria. Okay, see, the criteria is the same here, but for the disabled learners, what they do is like they give them the adapted car, but they're not changing the passing criteria. It's still same. Okay, so that's why like even in the if you do like in the schools, like we have the three different level of students. Okay, one is really a good one. Okay, he's a quick learner, he grasps the thing quickly. Whereas on the other hand, we have really, let's say two types of learner. The other one is really low, he grasps the concepts very late, he's not a quick learner, he hesitates to speak up, he hesitates, he's like weak in writing, his writing skills are really weak. So what we do is our assessments are same, the same paper both students will have, but what we do is when we teach them is like we go according to their levels. Okay, we kind of like according to their needs, we plan the curriculum according to their needs, but the assessment marking criteria is passing criteria is going to be same. Okay, so now I hope the difference, like the principles, the concept and the principle of fairness, consistency, reliability are the very clear. Okay, so now I'm going to move to the next slide, which is our slide number 7. So now we're going to focus on the role of practitioners. Okay, the one who is going to practice that. So the practitioners are individuals and the groups are involved in IQA. Okay, so why they're important? They're important because the roles clarifies the responsibility. Okay, they helps us to prevent the duplications or the gaps in the quality of the assessments, and they also ensure the accountability at every stage. Okay, for example, if I say assessors, okay, assessors are the people, those who deliver and mark fairly. This is the job of the assessors. Okay, now IQA are basically, they are the samples of evidence, they gives the feedback. Okay, let's say the lead IQA, they develop the policies, they ensure the assessors training, because if they're not gonna update us with the policy, if they're not gonna give us the proper training, update with the system, then the assessor is not going to mark fairly. Okay, and EQA, which stands for the external quality assessments, they check the internal process, okay, whether they meet the awarding body standards or not. Okay, so EQA are, for example, let's say like KIMT, uh, came like the London one. Okay, so what they do is like externally, they will go wherever like they have the institutions, they will go to the institutions, they will have the internal assessments, they will check the quality, like all the internal assessments, they are like following everything. Do they have fairness, do they follow the consistency, are they transparent, they're going to look all about these details. Okay, so for example, like the job of the managers and the providers, what they do is they ensure the resources, the safeguarding, this compliance are there. Okay. For example, if I give you a real example, is an external QA, the quality assessment, is like from, let's say, from the Pearson, what they do is they visit a college, they visit the college to verify that the IQA, which is internal, are completing the sampling and the assessor's observations as planned. So what they do is like when they have the centers, they visit the external committees, they visit the centers to check whether the assessors, they are following the marking criteria, whether the internal policies, they are following the standards, the awarding body standards, everything. Okay, so there is a check on everything, whether they are following it or not. Like for example, if I discuss in UA school, let's say, so the UA schools, those who have the UK curriculums, right, what they do is like they have the awarding body like BSO, which is the British awarding body. What they do is like they have the visits every year, they come in the UAE, United Arab Emirates, and what they do is when they have the UK curriculum schools, they come, they check for the curriculum, like whether the school is implementing the curriculum, whether they are um, being very accurate, whether they are following the instructions, whether they have updated the policy. So to maintain the standard, there are some checks from the external body. Okay, now I'm going to move to the next slide, which is going to be the regulations and the requirements. Okay, now the regulations and the requirements. So basically regulations are, they're the external and the internal rules, okay, from both the governing IQA practice, like from external prospect and the internal. So they are very important because the compliance ensures the credibility of the qualifications. They protect the learners and they avoid the legal and the financial penalties. Okay, so what awarding body standards are, like let's say the Pearsons, the City, and the guides, the guilds frameworks. Okay, so the framework is a thing like which is the really important, which is like it's important for the awarding body. Okay, and then we have the OQUAL regulations, which is the UK qualifications. So to check those standards, they come, they visits. Okay, then we have the GDPR. Okay, which is to basically it's data protections law. What they do is they do the inclusive assessments for all the learners. Okay, and then we have the organization. So GDPR it's done. It's basically the data protection and the confidentiality. Okay, so the Equality Act is inclusive assessments for all the learner. Okay, they make sure that the passing criteria should be same for all the learners. Then comes the organization policies. Okay, organization policies are basically the complaints, appeals, safeguarding issues. Okay, so these are the things, like these are the regulations, these are the requirements which, like, the external and internal both bodies are implementing. They make sure that the standards are there, they meet the standards. Okay, so this is a proper platform. Like, it's not like anyone can just open the, like, institute and they can just start teaching. No, there's a proper check. Okay, there's a proper external and internal checks how they are doing it. Okay, now I'm gonna move to the next slide, which is about planning and preparing. Okay, so for planning and preparing, what do you think, Hamad? Like, what are the things they're very important when we are planning, when we are preparing for the kind of assessments? Like how we can, like, secure the data. What are the important things we should keep in our mind?
I did not understand the question. Can you please paraphrase it for me?
Sure, sure. Now, see, when we, like, planning, when we make a plan to for the assessments, okay, like to make it very consistent, like to update with the policies, these things. So what do you think? For example, let's say, if I say you have to make a checklist. Okay, like what will be your checklist, like when you're going to plan, like how you can make the assessment system, um, like, very consistent, very transparent, and no favoritism. So what do you think, what can be the checklist, how you can ensure, what are the things you are going to bring into the training session? Okay, like for example, you have to plan a training session where you have to deliver the important things, like how we can stop the biasness, how we can bring the transparency, what are the important things, like, should be the part of training.
Okay, so first of all, as you have mentioned, and it's quite a great idea to hide the ID or the names to avoid the favoritism for assessment.
Mhm.
And the second thing I want to mention is that what I think is first uh, follow the syllabus or the checklist, the syllabus of the specific subject from the specific institute.
Right, that's a really good point. Yeah.
Okay, and nothing's coming to my mind right now.
Okay, but the points, you have discussed the 2 points, and that was really a good one. I really, really appreciate that. That's a very, very important thing when it comes to the planning. Okay, so thank you so much for your for your participation, and I'm going to explain you in more detail about, like, when it comes to planning and preparation for internal QA. Is like, basically it means to structuring the activities to ensure the systematic coverage. Okay, it is very important to have a plan, because if you don't have a plan, without a plan you cannot maintain the consistency. Okay, so sampling may be inconsistent or incomplete, and then you have to check for the compliance risk. Okay, without plan it's going to be really disastrous. There will be inconsistency, there won't be any transparency. Okay, so if I give you detail in more detail about this one, is like, for example, the sampling should be scheduled. Okay, and there should be the types of evidence, should be there should be evidence check. which is very important, and the name of the assessors, the learners, to check like the consistency and the standardizations meeting the timetable. Okay, and then the record of keeping the systems. Okay, there should be a proper record of everything, like for example if we have more assessors in the field, like maybe let's say we have three assessors who are going to mark the same course, let's say the same module which we are doing today. So we should keep the record of all three assessors. So what happened is, like when we have the record, we can see like we have given them the training, we have given them the rubrics, the marking criteria, the passing criteria, everything is with them. So we need to see whether they are consistent, or whether maybe some of the assessors they have given more marks, some of the assessors they have given very less, but the criteria is same, the rubric is same. So we need to follow up with them why it's happening. Okay, so there should be some standards, there should be the evidence of the learners, the assessor's name, and we should keep on checking the track of the evidence. Okay, and we should keep record of everything in the system. This is very important. Okay, so these are the things like they are very important when it comes to keeping the task, the planning. Okay, so now we're going to do the preparation, how we are going to prepare, okay, for internal activities. Now, preparation basically it shows that the IQ activities are organized and the compliant with the curriculum. Now, why it's important? It's important because it saves the time during the audits. It also shows the professionalism, okay, to awarding body, and it's also prevent the non-compliance. Okay, and it can also include like collecting the records. It can be the checking the assessors qualifications, which is really important. Okay, uh, to check in sense of like whether the assessor has that qualification which he or she are able to give that course, give that module. Okay, so it should match with the qualification, which is very important. Like a IT person, let's say a person who works in a bank can't be a teacher, because banking qualification is different, a teaching qualification is different. Okay, so qualification really really matters. Okay, now uh, to check the assessor's qualification and also prepare the sampling documents. There should be the wiggle, there should be a sample of documents, okay, which is, for example, if we have three assessors, so what we do is like we should have a wiggle. Wiggle means what a good one looks like. There should be a sample of every document. So all the three assessors will follow a proper template. Okay, they're going to follow a proper template. Like for example, let me give you a live example. Let's say our LMS app. Okay, the one you are using, it has the same features. Now all the assessors are going to use that. We're going to give you the feedback on that. Okay, we're going to give you the feedback on the same one, so all the assessors will know that what is the criteria, how long, and where we are going to add the feedback. So this shows the consistency. For example, on the other hand, if we are three assessors and we have to give back without any template, it's just like, okay, they told us to give the feedback through the email. So what the three assessors gonna do? There won't be any consistency. There won't be any transparency, because they don't have any template to follow. They're just gonna do it on their way. Maybe some assessors, they're just gonna mention about what went good. Maybe some gonna be like, okay, how you can improve. Okay, so if we have a template, if we have a sampling documents, so what will happen is everybody's gonna be on same track. So this is really important. Okay, and then the reviewing awarding body guidelines are very important. They should keep on reviewing that, they should keep on updating the policy, and when they're updating the policy, it is very important to give that update updates through the training to the assessors, to the learners, and everywhere. Okay, everybody should be updated from the system. Now, if I give you a real example, is like before an external QA visits, okay, and IQAs cross checks all the assessment decisions are signed. See, you know what happened is like the external one, what they do is like they inform the internal assessment board that okay, we're coming to observe, we're coming to check. So when they inform, what they do is what the internal assessments, the board, what they do is they cross check all the assessments. How they cross check all the assessments? They take the they make sure all the decisions are made, all the documents are signed, dated, and they are mapped to the learning outcomes. Okay, because learning outcomes is very very important. Okay, all right. So now I'm gonna move to the next slide, which is going to be about information management, data protection, and the confidentiality. Okay, so in this one, this is very important part when it comes to confidentiality. Okay, we need to protect the data, which is very very important when it comes to assessments. Okay, like a teacher, like for example, if I'll give you some university and school examples, what happened is like in the school we have the proper assessment boards. One teacher is not allowed to share the data of her student with another teacher. Okay, so the data protection, the confidentiality is very, very important. Okay, so it's all about how you manage the information responsibly, okay, in the line with the legal and the ethical standards. It is very important because the data learner protects the privacy, they build the trust, and they ensure the compliance with the GDPR, which is the from the UK governance committee. To know more in detail, it also stores the like the drives, everything we should store in the drive securely. Okay, it stores the data. It also shares only with the authorized staff. Like for example, if I'm a assessor, okay, I have to inform, I can share it with my lead. Okay, because lead is going to see like all the assessors are on the right track. Like, let me go into more detail. Is like for example, in a school, we are a teacher, we have our leaders, we have head of departments. Okay, as a teacher, what we do is like we share the information with our leads, with our head of department, so they can see that whether all the teachers, all the assessors are consistent or not. Okay, so there are some certain authorized staff, only for them we are allowed to share the details. Okay, and then to keep the record for the required retention period, and then handle the appeals and feedback confidentiality. Now, sometimes what happen is like the students are doing the appeal. So with that also we need to handle the appeals in a very confidentiality. Okay, the feedback also. For example, if I give you a real life example, is an IQA cannot share the learner's failed assessments details with the staff outside the teaching team. Okay, it should be with the authorized staff person only, which we can share the detail. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you about the structure of this, like how your report should be, what are the things you are going to add. So from today's lesson we came to know about all these details. Okay, like what are the things we need to add up. So based on today's lesson, what you're gonna do is like we will upload the recording also. Sometime what happen is like we have some issues with the portal, so it might get delays like for 1 2 days. So no need to get worried. Whenever you come for the lesson, the very important thing is just be ready with your notes. Okay, with your notebook, just whenever I'm giving you the explanation, just write down the important things. Okay, in case if the recording is delayed, so you won't be, like sitting without anything. And about the teaching resources, the same slide which I taught you today will be there on your Moodle app. You will find that. So you can open, you can go through your notes, you can go through the recording, and you can start working on the draft. Okay. We will have lesson 2 also, which is going to be based on task 1. Okay. We will go in more detail, okay, about task 1. So now the structure is basically you have to write 3,500 words, okay, in your structure, which is very, very important. When you're writing about the structure, make sure to follow this structure. Okay, this is a trust structure. We will give you the sample also. If you want, we will upload it there for you on the Moodle app, your LMS account. But do not copy from the sample, it's just for your understanding. Okay, so basically it's gonna be a report. You have to write 3,500 words. So don't just write all the details, like let's say 700, 800 words just in the introduction, and let's say in the function you will add 200 words. It doesn't look nice. So when you are writing the detail, make sure you should give the ample of information in the all um, the structures, all the titles should have a proper equal information. I believe, I understand with some you have to add up more information. That's going to be okay. But it shouldn't be the difference of 200 and 800. You get my point. So what you have to do is, first of all, the very important, as I have mentioned before, I'm going to highlight this concern again. Be very careful when it comes to using your AI tools. Okay, be very careful. We are not allowed to use the AI. Just paraphrase in your own words, okay? Because this will impact, like, you're not gonna get your certifications, because there is a proper guidelines. Okay, the guideline document is already uploaded on your LMS account. Just refer to that. Okay, so this one is the first one is introduction. Give a heading of introduction, and then add, like, what is the purpose of your report. Link to the details of IQA. Okay, and then the functions, what we have done today. Okay, and then add the function, and then the concept and the principle of IQA, and then the role and the practitioners, then the regulations and requirements, and then conclusion and references. References will be Harvard references that I'm gonna upload on the your app. Okay, you can take the guideline from there, and the references will not be count in the word count. Okay, so there is a scenario. Okay, like for this assignments. Okay, these are the things, are the required things, which I have already explained you in the structure. Okay, you need to prepare a report on the context and the functions of internal quality. Okay, so we have covered all these things today in our today's lesson, this one. Okay, the functions, the concept, the roles, regulations, okay, all these things. Now what you have to do is you have to include them in your writing. Okay, so this is the rubrics. Okay, this is like rubrics for your task 1. Okay, what you have to do is like your passing criteria is there. Okay, so I would prefer, like, when you start writing about your task 1, it's going to be a draft for sure. I will give you like what went good and what you need to change, and what else you can add up to improve it, to make it more outstanding. Okay, I will guide you step by step with everything. If you have any doubts, you are most welcome to WhatsApp me. You are most welcome to email me anytime. Okay, and I, one thing I always used to ask my students are is to make a checklist. Okay, to make a checklist, like what is the criteria, like what are the things needs to be there, like for example the structure. Okay, so what you're gonna do is like make a checklist. okay, of the structure. Like this is the structure. Now, for example, in the introduction part, you can go through slide number 4. This is the introduction part. So you can go through your notes, okay, and see what are the important things you need to add. For example, when it comes to the function, here is a function slide. You can make a checklist that what are the important functions, okay, like fairness, validity, reliability, consistency. These are the important things you need to add, okay. So make a checklist like that, so when it comes to your writing, you're not going to miss any important things, okay. So these are the criteria, like the roles, the structure, referencing, and in the structure AI will be there. So make it very clear, okay, and make sure to use a proper font, the font size, and the font style. Everything is given in the requirements document, which is already uploaded. Go through the font size and be very specific, okay, with the examples, with the details you are giving them. And when you're searching some material on the internet, be very careful, paraphrase everything, okay. Please do not copy paste anything. And if you have to go into distinctions, what you can do is like do the critical analysis, okay, and apply the practical applications, okay. When it comes to the basic explanation, when it comes to the concept, evaluate the impacts, okay. Don't just explain, evaluate the things. You can compare and contrast the things, okay. When it comes to role of practitioners, what you can do is like you can evaluate the interrelationships, okay. And in the regulations, requirements, what you can do is instead of coming up with your own area, what you can do is you can do the critical analysis, okay, and do the critical analysis with the compliance and the implications, okay. And in the structure, you have to be very professional, be fully use the fully referred Harvard styles references, okay. So these are the summaries, I would say, the next steps which you are going to follow, okay. And it is very important, like to follow the summary, like to follow the rubrics. The important things are the checklist, okay. Keep the checklist, do not use the AI, use the same font size, and when you are adding up the informations, okay. So be very careful with the word count, okay. There is some deduction if, like for example, let's say your report says 3,500 words, but what happened is like maybe you have used 3,200 words. By using less words, there are going to be deduction of the marks, okay. So be very careful. You should meet the word count, which is very important. If it says 3,500, you can just extend it to 20 or 30 words more. Do not extend it to 3,600. No. If you extend it to 3,600, let's say, it shows like you were not consistent. You were not like you just maybe you have added up some unnecessary material. Okay. To be very specific, use the specific details. To be specific, just do not add up any extra, any unnecessary details which is not required, okay, from your side. And just you can extend to 20 words, okay. So start working on your draft. You will see here on this same slide, you will see some resources. There are some YouTube links, okay. There are some resources. You can go through the links, okay. They are going to be very helpful. You will have more ideas, you will have more details, okay. Just go through the links and start working on draft. Your submission dates of the draft, I'm going to tell you again. The first task one draft deadline is 18th of September. Please do not exceed the deadline, because it is mandatory to follow the deadline. If in case you are not able to meet your deadline due to illness, due to your workload or anything, please let us know. You can ask me, I'll send your request to the management, and then management is going to decide. Okay, so these are the deadlines. Task 2 deadline is 5th of October, and the final submission deadline is 15th of October. So you have time. Now we have 2 minutes for this lesson. If you have any question, please feel free to ask me, Hamad. Did you understand today's lesson?
Yeah, I loved it. And when will be the next class?
Next class is gonna be every Sunday, the same time.
Okay, okay, fantastic. Okay,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna just look up into the LMS platform for more details. I'll join the next class. And if I have any question, I would prefer to ask the questions in the next class, if it is
No
okay.
worries. No worries. Take your time. We're always there to support you. And you can just go through all your recording will be there. Okay. And go through your notes, go through the teaching slide, which is already there. If you feel any, like if you have any doubts or anything, just feel free to ask me. I will be available through WhatsApp. There is a group. Okay. Mr. Ronnie has made it, and you're most welcome to send me the email. And also, like if you feel like okay, you need some time, like within 1 week, you will collect all the questions you want to ask. That also you can do.